Have you ever had fried chicken that was so juicy, so tender, and so delicious? Well, this recipe is all that, and it even has more chicken than butter, so you're in for a treat. Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Buki. I'm a food blogger and I live in Lagos, Nigeria. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make a really crispy fried chicken and a gravy just like you get in the KFC abroad. For this recipe, I'm using chicken laps that I've cut into smaller pieces. I'm using some canola oil. I'm using all-purpose flour. I'm using 1 egg and I'm using milk. This is full cream milk. For spices, I'm using black peppercorns, garlic powder, white pepper, oregano, curry powder, onion powder, smoked paprika, thyme, and some salt. For the gravy, I'm using chicken stock cubes, beef stock cubes, some onion powder, butter, and some all-purpose flour. I'm going to start first by marinating the chicken. So I'm going to transfer it into another bowl and I'm going to add in the seasoning. So I'm using a bit of all of the seasoning that I showed you in the beginning. I'm going to reserve a little bit to add into the flour. So just take a little bit of all of that seasoning, add it to the chicken and rub it together. Next, I'm going to add some milk to this. Milk helps tenderize your chicken, so that's how you get really juicy, moist fried chicken. You don't want your chicken to dry out, you really want it to be tender and moist. Milk helps to do that, so marinate your chicken in milk or in yogurt. This is the flour I was talking about, so I'm going to add the rest of the seasoning, all of that seasoning to this. I'm going to crack some black pepper. I like to crack my black pepper just before I use it. I don't like to buy ground black pepper in the jar. I feel like they don't have enough flavor and they don't even have any flavor at all. So I crack my black pepper just before I use. I'm going to mix all of this together completely and then I'm going to transfer it to a ziplock and you'll see why in a minute. I feel like it's less messy doing it this way. You can transfer it to a bowl if you prefer or if you don't have Ziploc. But I feel like it will just be less messy if I do it this way. In another bowl, I'm going to mix the egg and the milk together. I'm starting to make my batter for the chicken. That's what this is. So the milk and egg is one coating for the chicken, and then the flour and spices is another coating. After the chicken has marinated for 1 hour, you're going to dip it in the egg and milk mixture and then transfer it into the flour. So I'm going to coat all of the pieces at once. I'm going to take them out of the milk and seasoning mixture and dip it into the egg and milk mixture, then transfer it into the Ziploc with the flour and the seasoning mixture. I hope that makes sense. So I'm going to do all of the pieces one after the other. Feel free to get a bigger bowl and just transfer all of the chicken pieces into the bowl and save time that way and just scoop them out and transfer them into the flour. Make sure you have enough flour in the Ziploc to coat all of the chicken pieces that you're going to use. You want them really covered in flour, like completely drenched in flour. Don't mind the legs behind me. I had other people in the kitchen when I was doing this. So I've coated everything and this is what it should look like. When you take a piece of chicken out, it should all be covered in flour. If it's not, put it back in and cover it completely. Next, it's time to fry. So I've put some oil in this pan. You can deep fry if you prefer, I've put some oil in this pan and it's now very hot, so I'm putting all my chicken pieces inside. Make sure not to overcrowd the frying pan. If you have a lot of chicken pieces, then do it in batches. I don't have a lot of chicken pieces, so I'm going to do mine all at once. They fit into this frying pan because it's a really big one and there's still space in between for them to move around, for me to turn it and whatnot. So after a couple of minutes, turn your chicken around. Make sure it's properly cooked. Make sure your heat is medium and give it time to cook properly. Some of the blood will start to come out like you saw in that piece, and that's fine. Give it time to really cook and get done. This will take about 5 to 6 minutes on each side. You may need to turn it a couple of times just to make sure that it's properly cooked, and that's fine. But I'm looking at my pieces now. I think they are fully cooked. I've cooked it for almost 10 minutes already and they're nice and golden brown. So I'm just going to take them out of the oil and set them aside. Be careful because this oil gets really hot. Use a tongue or use a strong slotted spoon. Next, we're going to make the gravy. So in this pot, I've been boiling some water. Now that the water is boiled, I'm going to add in my chicken stock cubes, the beef stock cubes, I'm going to stir this and make sure that it's fully dissolved. You can opt to use only beef stock cubes if you prefer, and that will be fine too. I added the chicken stock cube for an extra flavor profile. I'm going to stir it all now, make sure it's all dissolved, and then I'm going to set it aside and get another frying pan where I'm going to make the actual gravy. So in this frying pan, I'm going to add in the butter and allow it to melt. Do this on low to medium heat. You don't want to burn the butter. The butter can burn really quickly. So make sure that the heat is between low and medium so that it just gradually melts. If it's taking its time, just roll it around in the pan and let the heat melt it completely. Once the butter has melted, I'm going to add in the onion powder. I'll stir this and let it dissolve. And then I'm going to add in the flour and then whisk it vigorously so that it doesn't form any lumps. Just make sure it's properly combined. If you're doing this on low heat, you have nothing to worry about. Make sure it's properly combined, and then we're going to add in that stock that we made earlier with the stock cubes. Add that liquid in a little at a time and continue to stir. This is where you can adjust the consistency to one that you like. If you like your gravy really loose, add in a lot of the meat stock. If you don't, then you can adjust it as this is going, because the flour helps to thicken it. But if you need to loosen it up further, just keep adding the meat stock. But of course, you're going to end up with a lot of gravy, which is fine. You can save it in the fridge for a couple of days and it will keep for you to finish your batch of fried chicken. Always make sure to make a lot of fried chicken and just save it in the freezer for those days when you want to snack. Next, I'm going to crack some black pepper in this for some more flavor. I'll whisk it all together and let it cook for about another minute, and then this gravy is ready. When it cools, it gets thicker, so be mindful of the consistency of the gravy. Also, if you need to loosen it up, you can just put it back on heat and it will start to loosen up again. And that's it for this crispy fried chicken and gravy. I hope you've enjoyed watching this video, and I really hope that you're going to try out this recipe. If you do, don't forget to tag me at the Kitchen Muse on Instagram so I can see your lovely pictures and repost them. Now this is what that fried chicken I made earlier looks like. It is absolutely yummy. I'm just going to dip it in some gravy now and enjoy this. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you in my next video. Have a lovely one. Bye bye.